With threats to our nation waiting around every corner, adaptability is more important than ever. When conditions change without notice, quick strategic thinking is crucial. And with obstacles consistently impending, determination is essential in overcoming them. It's this willingness, decisiveness, and resilience that sets Marines apart. With our fighting spirit, we don't just fight battles, we win them. Marines are the constant our nation counts on to fight the unknown. And through adaptable problem solving, we do just that. Learn more at marines.com.
The biggest thing that we do is, we're a process-oriented organization. People look at me sometimes when I say, outcomes are a distraction. We want to focus on what we need to do to get the outcome.
These last 24 hours seem to signal the end of an era with three coaching icons, Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, and Nick Saban stepping away from the sidelines. All three have had a tremendous impact on the game and the coaching profession. Coach Saban stands as a towering figure in the realm of college football, and he leaves an indelible impact on both the sport and the coaching profession. His unparalleled success, marked by 7 national championships and a consistently high level of performance, has set a benchmark for excellence that aspiring coaches now and in the future will aim to emulate. His meticulous approach to the game, strategic brilliance, and unwavering commitment to building not just exceptional players, but also well-rounded individuals has set a standard. Beyond the wins and titles, his influence extends to coaching methodologies, emphasizing the importance of adaptability, discipline, and a relentless pursuit of perfection by following the process. Nick Saban's legacy transcends victories. It's a testament to his transformative influence on the very fabric of college football and the coaching fraternity. I had the privilege to moderate 2 question and answer sessions with Nick Saban. I've aired the other one on Coaching Coordinator before, and we will link that one in the show notes. Today's is a segment from the 2020 Louisiana Football Coaches Association virtual clinic. In this segment, we focused on some of his coaching philosophy as it relates to player development, discipline, and maintaining a winning culture. The link to a bundle of all 3 of these sessions that appear on CoachTube is in the show notes. I'm sure this is one you will enjoy. What you see on tape is a direct reflection of what you teach and how you teach. Video is important, but if you don't teach well, you're not going to like what you see on your video. First Down Playbook has been helping coaches teach better for 13 years. It allows you to present installs, playbooks, and practice cards in half the time with NFL quality. Coaching tools like video pairing, a player app, practice schedules, and wristband sheets have made First Down Playbook a program management system with everything in one place. If you're in a position of leadership with your football program, receive a free 1-week look at First Down Playbook. Call them at 512-814-6158 or visit them on their website or social media. Mention Coach and Coordinator Podcast or use the coupon code COACH24 to receive a $100 discount off the normal $700 First Down Playbook team membership price. Links and the phone number are in the show notes. As coaches, we know that some of the biggest hurdles to our team's success can come from off the field. Your team needs support to tackle the endless list of expenses, uniforms, training equipment, travel, and more. But raising that money can feel like a full-time job. Thankfully, there's Vertical Raise. Vertical Raise is the premier online fundraising platform using innovative technology to create the easiest and most efficient system available. Raise more money in less time with a local fundraising coach who works with your team every step of the way to customize the ideal fundraiser. With options for online donations, digital discount cards, premium product sales, and even spirit shops, Vertical Raise has top-of-the-line solutions for every fundraising style. To find out more, visit verticalraise.com and we'll get you connected with an exclusive offer on your first fundraiser. Coach, can you talk a little bit about your philosophy about wanting and players as opposed to but players?
Well, again, this goes back to players creating value for themselves. Um, I always talk to players about, I spent 8 years in the NFL, so that means I sat through 8 drafts, which meant it's not just a draft, it's 2 weeks of preparing for the draft, and then 2 more weeks of getting questions answered, and then 2 more weeks of preparing for the draft. So I'm talking about listening to 1,000 draft reports. And I tell our players all the time, the 2 most compelling words in the draft report is and but. All right, so they read the player, and I'll take a defensive back. All right, he's got quick feet, change of direction, good long speed, can play man to man. He's a good tackler. He's got toughness, got really good ball judgment and really good ball skills. And he's a good person. He was a leader on the team. He graduated from school. Coaches loved him. Read the same player, but he had a positive drug test. He had a domestic violence incident with his girlfriend, got in a fight in a bar when he was a freshman. Strength coach said he wouldn't piss on him if he was on fire. Who do you want on your team? And or but? All right, so what I tell players is you don't realize that as soon as you apply for a job, as soon as you put your name in for the draft, people are looking for reasons not to pick you. They're looking for reasons not to hire you. So don't give anybody a reason to say but. It's the only way that you can create value for yourself. So that and but, what came after that had nothing to do with what the player was, but it had a significant impact on where the player got picked. So this is an analogy that I use all the time with players to try to get them to understand, how do I create value for myself in my future for what I want to accomplish? And it goes right back to, I might have to edit my behavior a little bit. When Kobe Bryant came here and spent a day with us, that's all he talked about, is how do I have to edit my behavior to accomplish the goals that I have? One of the players on our team asked him, said, how did you score 60 in the last game that you played in the NBA, which was the last game of the season, and you were 40 years old, and you just came off of an Achilles tendon? He said, I knew I was going to have to work my tail off to be able to make it through that season, and I wanted to play one more year. So I worked 8 hours a day for 365 days out of the year. He said, then I'll put that part on ESPN. So how do you have to edit your behavior to accomplish the goals that you have? That all goes back to that.
I've heard you in the past say that discipline is changing behavior, not punishing. Can you elaborate on this, and has your philosophy changed over time in how you handle discipline with players than you did before?
Yeah, I think what I've always said before is a lot of people mistake discipline for punishment. In other words, in the media, if you have a guy on your team or in your organization that makes a poor choice and decision, all right, the first thing the media wants you to do is kick them off the team. And if you don't kick them off the team, then you don't have any discipline. Well, that doesn't, punishment has nothing to do with discipline. Discipline is getting people to do what they're supposed to do, when they're supposed to do it, the way it's supposed to get done. Now, punishment does not make somebody more disciplined. I think if you're going to punish somebody, the usefulness of punishment is you want to change their behavior. And if what you do to punish them doesn't change their behavior, then why do it? Why would we do it? And there's different ways, of doing it. When I was a kid growing up, my mom kept a switch on her refrigerator. She said, you do that again, I'm getting the switch out. And I damn sure didn't do it because I knew what was going to happen. All right. So that was one way. All right. But we have, that's why I think, and the statement I made at the beginning of this talk, we can change people because we have something that they want to do. And I would suggest that you have every player in your organization tell you what he wants to do. All right, I want to be the best player I can be so I can play Division I football someday. I want to go to college and get a college education, whatever it might be. And then you could always go back to that player and say, I do it with every player on our team. I know exactly what the goals and expectations are that every player has for themselves on our team. So every time they're not doing something that they should do to be able to accomplish that, I can call them in and say, tell me how this behavior is going to help you get what you want. Like a typical guy on our team would say, I want to graduate from college and I want to play in the NFL. And I say, okay, you missed class today, and now you're telling me you don't feel like practicing. So how do those two things, how do those two behaviors help you accomplish the goals that you have and the vision that you have? All right, so I think you can help players because everything has to relate back to them. They're all self-exposed, self-imposed. Everybody is got, this little selfishness about them, and they're thinking about how does this affect me? So if you make it about them, when you show them what their behavior is, what they want to accomplish, and how this is not going to help them accomplish it, they're very willing to change, very willing to change. And you're not telling them, well, you can't do this because you play on Alabama's football team. They can't relate to that. If you tell them if you do this, you can't play in the NFL, they'll change. So that's one thing. But whatever you choose to punish a guy with changes his behavior. Just like we have all these players and they all want to play. Just like we have a rule here. If you get 6 points academically, which means you miss 6 things. Now you also can have perfect weeks and get a plus point. So it's really not a hard 6. It could be, if you had a couple good weeks, you could really have 8 points. All right, but if you get 6 points, you go in front of the leadership group on the team, and if you don't do what they say, you don't practice or play. They go to school. They all go to school. You can say I'm punishing them, but really I'm taking something away from them that will change their behavior because they want to play. And what I said at the beginning of this is we have the opportunity to really help these guys and lead these guys in a very positive direction because we're coaching them to do something they really like to do and they really want to do. So we can help them do other things in so many other parts of their life that's going to help them be more successful in their life. So because we can use playing to change their behavior. So discipline is not punishment. Discipline is something totally different. But you can take something away from somebody that's going to change their behavior. My daughter, Kristen, is the biggest on the internet, on Facebook, on Twitter. And when she's in the house, she's married and gone now, but when she was in the house and she went to Alabama, I wouldn't tell her anything about the team. I wouldn't say who was hurt. I wouldn't say anything because it was all going to end up on the internet. So when I wanted her to do something, or me or Miss Terry wanted her to do something, all you had to do is tell your computer away and say, you got to get your car cleaned, or, you need to clean your room, or, I told you had to wash the dishes and you didn't do it. You got a lot of stuff done by just locking up that computer. It's taking away something significant to them.
Coach, got a question about how you maintain your winning culture year in and year out, specifically about the team activities and expectations that you set that allow you to be so successful.
Well, I think the biggest thing that we do is, we're a process-oriented organization. People look at me sometimes when I say, outcomes are a distraction. We want to focus on what we need to do to get the outcome. Like if you walk around our building at Alabama, you'll see no signs that say win the SEC championship. You'll see no signs that say win the national championship. There is one sign that says be a champion. And then there's a pyramid of what it takes to be a champion. You got to be a team player. Together, everybody accomplishes more. People have to respect and trust in the principles and values of the organization, and they got to respect and trust in each other, and they got to be accountable to each other. I mean, there's a responsibility and obligation that every individual has on the team, not to me, but to themselves and to each other. And if they're going to be trusted by their teammates, they have to do their job and they have to do it well. Second part of that is you got to be positive. To me, body language is negative body language kind of brings everybody down. Positive body language, having energy, enthusiasm, being positive in your work, helps you create more value for yourself, helps you improve, but it also affects the people around you in a very positive way. So we don't like negative people. We don't like people who judge what we do, like why we practicing today, why are we doing fourth quarter program. I don't want to hear that. That's a principle and value of the organization that you choose to buy into. And when you buy into it, you need to go about it in a positive way, which is going to help you get better, and it's going to help us get better. And the third thing is everybody's got to be responsible for their own self-determination. That's all about accountability. If you're going to be a professional someday, you got to be responsible. Somebody's going to define an expectation. Somebody's going to define a standard, and you got to be accountable to it. And if you're not, they're going to fire you and get somebody else. So it's no different on our team. So everybody needs to learn how to do that. And we define that. I mean, we define the expectation for our players personally, academically, and athletically. And we define the expectation of what we expect them to do and the standard we expect them to do it to. And that helps them be successful. So, and the last thing is you got to have work ethic, you got to have character, you got to have discipline, you got to have self-discipline to make choices and decisions that are going to benefit you and help you make the kind of choices and decisions that are going to create value for you in your future. You got to have perseverance. You cannot be a great competitor if you don't have perseverance and you can't overcome adversity. So pride in performance, being the best player you can possibly be, reaching your full potential. I mean, these are all things that give players great self-gratification. So that's what it takes from a culture standpoint to be a champion. And that's what we try to promote with our players. We don't even talk about winning the game. We talk about dominating the competition. Again, it's one play at a time for 60 minutes in the game. There's no scoreboard. There's no external factors that are going to, determine how I play and how I compete and how I perform. And I tell players all the time, when I was in the NFL, they used to make me a cut-up of you. And I watched how you play. I didn't know the score of the game. So are you playing different when we're 14 points behind? Are you playing different when we're 14 points ahead? So there is no scoreboard. You should try to be the best player you can be and dominate your box every play that you play, because that's what I'm going to look at. That's what you're going to get evaluated on. No, and I didn't even know who you're playing against. So does that mean if we're playing a good team, I play really good, but when we're playing a bad team, I don't play very good? So your standard should not be determined by some external factor, which includes who's the competition, because it's all about you being the best version of yourself, being the best competitor, playing your best all the time. And you have to train yourself to be able to do that. You got to be in great condition, or you're not going to be able to sustain your effort, not going to be able to sustain your toughness, and not going to be able to mentally stay focused on what you need to do, because when you get tired, you're going to lose focus and make mental errors. So all these things create value, but these things are all talking about what you control, what you can do to help your team be successful. Everybody says there's no I in team, but there is an I in win. And that's the individuals that make the team what it is. So you got to define the expectation for what you expect the players to do. And then you surround them with the best people to help them do that. And then doing that, you're creating a culture of accountability, which helps them be the best version of themselves. Look, everybody's got to have a vision for what they want to do. Everybody's got to know what they have to do it, but they have to have the discipline to execute it every day. And this is where people struggle. They struggle the most at this part of it. And I'm not talking about the sign on the wall that says disciplines do what you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to do it, the way it's supposed to get done, do the right thing, the right way, the right time, all the time. Those are great definitions of discipline, and leave every one of those signs up. I'm talking about self-discipline. comes down to two questions. We make hundreds of decisions every day that come down to two questions. Here's something I know I'm supposed to do that I really don't want to do. Can you make yourself do it? Over here, there's something you know you're not supposed to do, but you want to do it. Can you keep yourself from it? If you can make those choices and decisions the right way, you're always going to stay on the path of being able to do the things you need to do to accomplish the goals that you have. It's how you have to edit your behavior to accomplish the goals that you have. You can't just do what you feel like doing. You got to choose to do the things you need to do to accomplish the goals that you have. So in a nutshell, that's kind of how we try to do it.
Thank you for listening to Coaching Coordinator. Please visit coachingcoordinator.com to follow all we do and to sign up for our weekly tip sheet, which gives you a rundown of all the best ideas shared each week. Follow us on Twitter at Coach K. Grabowski.